I cannot believe the new law that they are passing here in Oregon. You're not going to believe it. 10, legalizing small amounts of drug goes into effect tomorrow or midnight. Oregon's new drug law goes into effect Monday. Here's what it does. Ballot measure number 110 goes into effect February 1. All eyes are turned to Oregon. I tell you what, I think we're going to sell our house. We're going to get out of here. This is crazy. Unbelievable that drugs are free now. I had Otis up here. All eyes are turned to Oregon as it becomes the first state to decriminalize the personal possession of hard drugs such as cocaine, heroin, methamphetamine, and oxycodone. What does Oregon's new drug law do? The measure reclassifies possession of small amounts of drugs, like a bucket full or barrel full or whatever, you can have 50. Oh my heavens. What does this mean? Small amounts of the drug as a civil violation. Offenders will face a $100 fine, which can be avoided by agreeing to participate in a health assessment. The Oregon Criminal Justice Commission estimated that yearly convictions for possession of a controlled substance would decrease 8,679, or 90.7%. Measure 110 also funds addiction treatment and harm reduction efforts by relocating tens of millions of dollars from the state's cannabis tax. That's another hot button of mine. Funds are also expected to come from state savings from reductions in arrest, incarceration, and official supervision. How much is a small amount? The measure makes possession of the following a non-criminal violation: less than 1 gram of heroin, less than 1 gram or less than 5 pills of MDMA, less than 2 grams of methamphetamines, less than 40 units of LSD, less than 12 grams of psilocybin, I think that's mushrooms, less than 40 units of methadone, less than 40 pills of oxycodone, less than 3 grams of cocaine. Can you believe that? We had beautiful horse ranches all around us. They were all around here. At the bottom of our hill was a beautiful horse ranch. It was 20 acres. I used to take my granddaughter horseback riding there. Hello, Cinnamon Hot. Yep. Washington, California, now Oregon is the whole West whole. Yeah, for sure. H-O-L-E, I like the spelling of that. Oh, and hey, have made mushrooms only used by doctors. Yeah, I'm pissed. We voted against it, but we lost. The measure also reduces from felony to a misdemeanor simple possession of substance containing 1 to 3 grams of heroin, MDMA, methamphetamines. What's the difference between a misdemeanor or a civil violation? Well, a civil violation is like a tort. It's a non-arrestable law. You just get a ticket. Just like you're going to have more fine. You pay more, in more trouble speeding than you are for having a bottle of pills. Misdemeanor is the lowest classification of a crime below a felony. Oregon State Police Captain Timothy Fox said in an email, with a crime, there is possibility of fines and jail time. With violation, there is only a possibility of fines. Oregon's drug decriminalization law about to start amid uncertainty. Will law enforcement arrest people with small amounts of hard drugs? Hi, Wild Angel. Thank you for coming. And thank you for coming, Cinnamon Hot Hot. She's on the coast. Is the coast clear, Cinnamon Hot Hot? Oh, my word. If it's under Measure 110, amounts for possession, then no. The law enforcement won't arrest people with small amounts. Possession of small amounts of drugs will result in a citation. E, like electronic violation, where it previously could have resulted in an arrest and possibility of time in jail. What does OSP think is important for people, OSP, Oregon State Police, for people to understand about 10? Just because small amounts are decriminalized, it doesn't apply when a person has more than is specified under the law. So if you got a couple of bottles of oxycodone or codone, do they make oxycodone? I don't think they do. I don't know. But anyway, oxycodone, you can have 40 pills, but it didn't say what milligrams. So you can have 80 milligrams of oxycodone. And if you have a car full of people, just give everybody 40 pills and you're good to go. Possession of larger amounts of drugs, manufacturing and distribution are still crimes. Okay, so they can't sell it. Will this change how police behave? There are some nuances to the measure that will affect the way officers conduct themselves on a scene, said Chris Perosa, senior prosecutor for Lane County. Lane County is south. For example, when officers walk up to a car and immediately notice a pipe commonly used to smoke some illicit drugs from it, ordinarily, if a police officer saw that, they would immediately develop probable cause for a potential felony. And then when you have probable cause, then you could search. Now, if they want to walk up to and find a pipe, which we can only assume has residue quantity of drugs in it, it is no more than a violation. This sickens me. This prevents law enforcement from then searching vehicles because they can't develop reasonable suspicion, which is the grounds that allows them to ultimately continue to search for evidence of a crime. What's Oregon Health Authority's role in implementing the legislation? The Oregon Health Authority is required to establish a treatment and recovery services fund, finance with marijuana revenue, which will support new addiction recovery centers, community access to care grants. Is that? Want to hear Babbling Brook? Let's see. I'm getting stoned here. I'm reading this. Oh, you know, I have chronic pain, and I had one doctor urge me to try marijuana, and he was really adamant that I tried the marijuana, but because I don't know, I guess I'm too much of a prude. I didn't want to smoke it or try it, and so after his urging and, you know, counsel us is better than the pain meds, the opioid pain meds, and so I tried it. I was so sick Oh my gosh, I hated it. And I was crying. I felt like going to the hospital. But I'm allergic to mint. Now I have mast cell disease, and marijuana is in the mint family. So when I had a glass of mint tea, it made me very sick. I almost had to use my EpiPen. Anyway, they're going to have treatment and recovery services funded by and financed with the marijuana revenue. 15 addiction recovery centers, or ARCs, addiction recovery, that are always open throughout the state by October 1. Oh my gosh, it's going to have to be open by October 1. And grants program that will support the ARC, addiction recovery centers. An oversight and accountability council that will oversee the distribution of the grants. The council is now taking applications for people who wish to serve. So come to Oregon. A temporary 24/7 ARC telephone line by February 1st. That's tomorrow. Oh dear. We had a couple people say that they wanted to buy our house. I haven't wanted to move from here. Our house isn't a mansion, but it's a nice house. It's a custom built house. And we got it for $550, and it was worth close to $850 then. And the people sold it to us. They got mad at their two buyers. They had two offers on it. And they knew we wanted it, and they were wealthy. They had money, so. And they just wanted to be done. And they says, if you guys can close by Friday, it's yours for $550. And now it's worth double that. I think our housing market is going to crash. Anyway, my husband finished we were going to add on. We're going to add on and put the oxygen chamber out in a little room. But didn't he do a good job on that? That's the metal and post. And then I found some lighting. There's solar lights that you put on top. So there's solar lights. But anyway, I really think things have really gone to hell in a handbasket. Let's see, what are some of these here? Wild Angel. Well, yeah, you don't get pain meds because of the laws, that's for sure. And the pot doesn't work. CBD oil doesn't do anything for me. I tried that Tommy Chong oil. What I do like is this muscle rub. It's penetrate, and it gets deep into the muscles. And it's by Melaleuca. It's kind of expensive. I think it's $10 or $11 for a big thing, but it helps. And recently I discovered I had failed spinal surgery. And now I'm reading that over 40% of people have failed spinal surgery. And the reason I have failed spinal surgery complications is because I have EDS, not to be confused with erectile dysfunction, but it's Ehlers-Danlos syndrome and mast cell disease. So it's a pretty nasty disease that I have. And you get mobility of your joints and stuff. And funny that I could bend my thumbs all the way back here. You know, I can't do it anymore because of my age, but if you can touch your thumb to your wrist, or if your thumb goes back like that, or let's see, or if you can do that, and if your thumb sticks out here, that's another sign of Ehlers-Danlos. And then your height versus your arm length, and if your arms are longer than your height, that's another. And then your stretchy skin. I have very stretchy skin. Could be my old age, but and vascular and mitral valve prolapse. I have that. Other problem. Come here, Felix. Come on, Felix. Come on. Come on, Felix. Come on. So those of us in pain can't get pain meds. I don't know where the drugs are, where the drug addicts are getting it, but I wouldn't get it from them because you never know if it's got fentanyl or some other stuff mixed with it. But those that are prescribed the pain meds, less than 1% overdose on them. People just don't, that get their meds legally by prescription, do not mess around because they're under contract. And so the drug addicts are finding other ways to get blitzed and to die and to overdose. And it's not with opioid pain meds. It's with fentanyl and anything that they can find on the street. But they're punishing people in pain. So the pendulum has swung, because when I was going to a pain clinic, I got so much, I couldn't believe it. I couldn't use it all. And I ended up tossing some of it away. I remember when my husband was in the hospital, I poured I had like 2 bottles of oxycodone or something, morphine or something. I poured it down the sink because we had kids and I was worried they would get into it. And come on, Felix. So they're punishing people in pain, and I just think it's wrong, because you do build up a tolerance and it takes more and more for it to work. But now the suicide rate for those that have lost hope, that have these fibromyalgias, these autoimmune failed back surgeries, RSD, Critters has RSD, and that's where the nerve endings just go crazy on both sides. It's called the suicide disease because this is horrible. If you look up some of the videos of people that have RSD, they're in horrible pain night and day. And I'm beginning to have that kind of pain where I can't sleep. I'm now taking 3 Benadryls a day. That really helps me sleep, is Benadryl, over the counter. I got 5 bottles of that because I was afraid that's how much I like it. I was afraid if the things went crazy and you couldn't get a hold of stuff like they're predicting, like if we had to have a electrical magnetic pulse that wipes out our power grid, the trucking, that's ours. They're not going to be able to have cars, won't move. Cars won't work with EMP. Look at this cat. He's always by my side. He's old. He's 14 and a half. Are you 14 and a half? This is Felix. He's a tuxedo cat, just like, and he hates Liberace, but he likes Moonlight Sonata and hates Liberace. But anyway, people are losing hope, and there are now more deaths from suicide than overdose because we can't get our pain meds, and that is just wrong. But doctors are getting arrested for, I know 3 doctors that had to close their clinics. 1 doctor pain clinic got closed. And then 2 doctors that I knew no longer able to prescribe any kind of medication. So it's, and you can't go to a pain clinic. I went to one pain clinic and the doctor says, "What do you want? drugs. I'm not going to write you drugs. You need to implant a pain pump implanted. I said, no way. He had no, that was my first appointment with him. I never went back. He was a jerk. Columbia Pain and Spine. He is a total, he's big, tall guy and wears expensive suits. But anyway, it's just horrible what's happening here. And I'm discouraged because I waited for almost a year to have this spinal fusion. It was supposed to be easy, just a real quick fix, less invasive. And he said, well, it had a 30% chance of not working, but, you know, he says, I'm hopeful yours will work. I was hoping too. I had prayer and everybody was so hopeful. Oh, you know, think positive. And the surgery wasn't that bad. I was in the hospital, 3 nights, I forget. But I came home and it was a beautiful day when we came home. And I told Larry, it was September. I said, Larry, I have a bad feeling. You can look back on one of my videos. I'll see if I can find it. And I told Larry, I says, you know, I have a really bad feeling something horrible, something epic is going to happen today. And he says, what? I says, I don't know. I just have a bad feeling. And, oh, have you seen Plunder's new thing about the Orson and the little missing California boys? The West were seen in a sex shop just recently. Nice, huh? After I had my surgery, I came home and it was a beautiful day, and I was looking around and I videotaped it, and I've got me saying to Larry that I felt something epic was going to happen, that I had a really bad feeling. And that night the wind started, and then the fires began, the hot, dry wind. And our house is 4,500 square feet. It's all one level, and it's all windows. The whole back is the windows. And we have cedar siding and cedar shake. And we heard that people were getting evacuated. And I was watching the fires get set down there. Yes, they were set. I have proof. But if I try to say something about it, I get my channel shut down. They remove it. So I was afraid that we were going to get evacuated. So we parked our motorhome out in the street, and we started filling it up with our little treasures. My music box that I got in Switzerland, and a note that my mom wrote. It says, I am so glad that Jesus loves me. These are things that I can never replace. My piano, those are a dime a dozen, and I paid way too much for that piano. And then I paid way too much for all the added toys. Foolish. But anyway, because I didn't lay in bed, I started packing up. And I stayed up all night packing and climbing the stairs in the back, and going in and out of the trailer and the motorhome, and then Larry's truck. We have 3 Tundras on our property. Have you seen this little doggy? He is so cute. I love him. Norbert. Anyway, I got a bunch of his books, and now it's out in it's a little stuffed toy. Have any of you seen that? He is so cute, Norbert, the therapy dog. So I didn't get much rest after my surgery, and my pain started getting really bad. And then it's just gotten worse day by day. It's been 5 months now. And I had my MRI. They did an MRI and x-rays. And I'm having trouble with my sight is blurry because of my Ehlers-Danlos. And I also have mast cell disease. Anybody want to hear an organ recital? Wah, wah, wah. Anyway, I am discouraged. And it says, that there's some bulging disc. And this is after the surgery. Mild multi-level degeneration, subluxations throughout the lumbar spine, intra-process fusion device, 3.5 millimeters of L4 and L5 spondylolisthesia with minimal motion and with flexion or extension, severe L5 and S1 disc and end plate degeneration. So I went to go see a rheumatologist after my surgery, and I almost canceled the appointment because he looked like a Danny DeVito with no hair from India. But I like the Indian people. I had a friend in where I lived in San Fernando Valley, Suzanne B. Harry. Her dad was an OB doctor, and her dad was Indian, and her dad was so sweet. I like the Indian people. I don't like the scammers calling me from India, but have you seen my scammer videos? I like it when they call me because I can lead them on and keep them thinking that they're going to get my information. Anyway, I almost canceled my appointment. I thought, nah, I don't want to go see him. Why do I already have a rheumatologist I've been seeing for decades? But Larry says, well, just go get a second opinion. So I went, and he did some measurements. He had me bend this way and bend that way and move my thumb. And, you know, can you do that? Can you do this? You know, this is a sign. If your thumb can reach out, I forget what it is, can reach out over. Yeah. And then your hypermobility. I can't flex it like I used to because of my arthritis. And then touch the floor without bending, you know, with your knees. And I could do that. And then he ran some more tests and then wanted some blood work. So then I went for another, my second appointment. And he says, you want to hear your diagnosis? And I said, yeah, rheumatoid arthritis, Crohn's disease, and lupus. And he says, no, yes, but no, you have all three, but it is not lupus, it's not rheumatoid, and it's not Crohn's disease. You have mast cell disease and EDS, Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. That's what's been wrong with you. And surgeries do not work on people like you. The wounds don't heal. It can come apart underneath. It can heal on the outside, and it can fall apart, and you can die. And he says, no more surgery. And so I've been crying a lot. Because I suffer, and now I have sciatica and peripheral neuropathy in my feet. It's not from a B12 deficiency, but it's from impingement from the nerves. And I'm really discouraged. I don't like marijuana for pain meds. I don't like that stuff. I don't like to drink. In fact, I refuse to take pain meds.
I had a 5-hour surgery and I wouldn't let them give me anything for pain. Until I had a surgery, I had my gallbladder out and they damaged a bile duct nerve. And it feels like I'm being stabbed in the side. And then my fibromyalgia, and then my torn rotators, and my torn bicep. Look at that gun. That's as hard as a rock. That is the bicep muscle torn from here. So I can't lift my arms. I can't reach and pull stuff up. And now this one is tearing. So it hurts all the time. And the other day, we drove by the homeless camps and I watched the people walking around pushing stuff. And I thought, man, I almost wished I lived in the homeless camp and be healthy. I'd almost like to trade places with them. And I think of trading places. What if I lived here? What if I was born here? What if I was born there? So I'm losing hope. Here, buggers. I'm sad. This is buggers. Isn't he beautiful? Anyway, I've been handed a low blow, that's for sure. And I don't want to move from here. The money, we could walk away with a big chunk of change because we don't owe a dime on his place. But where would we move and see such beautiful view? And the pond that we have in the front yard, we have a beautiful view in the front. We're at the end of a cul-de-sac. There's only 2 houses. And it's all one level. So if I'm in a wheelchair, and I love playing my piano, but sitting on the bench for more than a half hour hurts me. So I'm not practicing my piano. And then I have anemia because of the EDS. So and then we don't have any family. The girls that we adopted, that didn't work out. And my son is angry, blames me for destroying his once perfect life. And he's right. So we don't have anybody. Have no one. I know I sound like a whiny baby. A lot of people are suffering. And I'm sorry to be a whiny. Let me read some of these comments. You can walk, Cinnamon. I quit going to the pain clinic years ago. I was taking over 300 milligrams of oxycodone and oxycontin, but I was able to get off of them. Yeah, pain management doctor will give you the pain, a little bit of pain meds, but I don't want to go to pain management because of the COVID. The one pain clinic that I know is up in Washington. I really like him. You had 2 different pain management tell me with the small amount of, wow. Yeah, they won't let you do. Ocean Wave, I'm going to be sending your stuff tomorrow. I promise. I don't go into town. Larry does. You have the nerve pain. Yeah, the gabapentin. I don't like the gabapentin. It makes me feel gross. But see, because of my mast cell disease, I've had anaphylactic shock to a couple of medications. I almost died when I had a iron infusion. Look at Max.
Oh, he's always on that. Look at that fun little, it's covered porch there. See what I mean? Our whole house is all windows. The birds strike it. Oh, aloha, weird mom. I love Kauai. I spent a couple months in Kauai. I have a friend, Miriam. She lived at 5050 Kahio Shores there in Kapa'a. Was it Kapa'a or Kaloa? There by Poipu. You turn right to go to Poipu and then, or turn left to go to Poipu and right to the blowhole. And Marion was by Kahio Park. And she was right on the water. So she always had me go stay in her condo while she came to the mainland for a couple of months. So, and I always cleaned her condo in exchange for staying there. And I had to feed her birds. She was an eccentric lady, Marion Esteb. Oh yeah, her husband was a doctor. He was one of the church, such a jerk. And I used to clean house for them, and he treated me like crap. And he told his wife Miriam they were having the taxes, and somebody did this, that, and the other, and they never had any money. And I thought, wow, we have a nicer house than he does. He's a thoracic surgeon. He should have millions of dollars. And anyway, when they were back in the 60s, they bought a condo, the condo on Kahio Shores. And apartment number 1 right there on the beach. So beautiful. And anyway, she found out why. I mean, here he's this church elder there in San Diego. And I brought him this article about Mount Hood and how all those kids had froze there at the top and how they saved some of their lives. And I says, oh, doctor, here, he says, what makes you think I'd be interested in that? And he threw the paper aside. I thought, wow, what a jerk. Anyway, found out that he was having a 10-15-year affair with his nurse, Betty, and he was paying her son's Christian education for San Diego Academy, and his girlfriend, his nurse girlfriend, bought her a home. Anyway, so Miriam didn't know any of this. She just thought she was just kind of stupid, I guess, didn't know why all their money was always gone. And he was just arrogant and pious and always put others down. I'll tell you a story about another doctor. Anyway, they went on a cruise, and she says it was like a second honeymoon. She couldn't believe it. They were like lovers. Every day was a honeymoon, if you know what I mean. Anyway, she says they came home after 2 weeks of being, she says she could not believe what a wonderful honeymoon they had. And then he went to go play racquetball, and then he came home, took a shower, and packed up his clothes. And he says, Miriam, I'm leaving you. I took you on that cruise as a goodbye. You can have the condo, and I've been having an affair for 10-15 years with Betty. I don't love you. And he walked away. And he was just arrogant. But anyway, I know this other doctor, he, because of the EDS, I sweat all the time. But that's an indication of an opioid overdose or taking opioids. And I also take Synthroid for my levothyroxine for my hypothyroid. I have Hashimoto's, and prednisone. And that makes me sweat something horrible. So anyway, there's this ER doctor, and he likes Larry because Larry's got a high IQ and intellectual. Those doctors all like to hang around each other. So he would walk up and say hi to Larry, and then he'd extend his hand to Larry, and I kind of would put my hand that way, and he'd turn his head that way. And then he would sit next to Larry at potluck, and then he'd talk about all these housewives that are addicted on oxycodone. and how they can get off of it and everything. Well, one day, because of my Crohn's, or what I thought was Crohn's, I had vomiting for 6 hours and I couldn't stop. I took all the medication I could and I still couldn't stop vomiting. And Larry finally called an ambulance and they took me by ambulance to the ER where this doctor from our church was. And he came in and he says, Larry was standing there. He says, I don't agree with your level of drug addiction. And the Dr. Pain Clinic doctor didn't do anybody any favors. He made everybody in Gresham drug addicts. And I says, I'm not here for drugs. I don't need any drugs. I've been vomiting for 6 hours. He could see I was just miserable. And here he is confronting me about my drugs, which I wasn't taking, just a small amount. And then he says, you know, it doesn't work for fibromyalgia. I'm thinking, oh, he has no idea. Anyway, he's got something to hide. I bet you he's got a girlfriend on the side, because he just hates me. Every time I'd see him, he would make a point to shun me, to shake Larry's hand and then turn around and shun me, and to sit at our dinner table every time. I mean, probably about 10 times. And all he would talk about is how all these women come into the ER looking for, he worked at Mount Hood ER, about how all these women came in looking for drugs and you know, and that this doctor, you know, Dr. Crumpacker, he'll treat anybody. He won't even charge you for your drug addictions and stuff like that. And I'm thinking, he thinks I'm a drug addict because I sweat. Idiot doesn't know that the EDS call. I didn't know I had EDS at the time. But anyway, there was another doctor that was like that. And what was his name? Dr. Breckel, Phil Breckel. He went with us to the orphanage, and we exposed the orphanage for sex trafficking. We put them all in prison, and then find out that Dr. Breckel, his wife, divorced him. They were on Geraldo Rivera. Our story was on Sally Jesse Raphael, Geraldo Rivera, and then Channel 39. What was it? Jody Hammond news. They did a half-hour story on us, how we opened up the orphanage and how we got them all arrested. But anyway, one of them was Dr. Breckel. He was molesting the kids too. But he killed himself. He went on the lam. He ran down to Guadalajara with his new wife. And he was having an affair from his wife, Julie, too. So, I mean, here he is, this arrogant doctor from church, elder. And that's the same way as this guy. I just know. And you know that story about when the prostitute was caught and all those men brought her before Jesus. And in those days, you could stone a woman for being a prostitute. But it was in the Bible, it says that her uncle had molested her as a child. And that's why she had poor self-esteem and she became a prostitute. Anyway, Jesus said, you know, any of you without sin cast the first stone. I think he wrote the girls' name, all those guys that were there with their the stone in their hand. Jesus wrote their girlfriend's name in the sand. Anyway, one by one, they dropped the stone and ran away. But, you know, when somebody's highly critical and nasty to you, there's usually something that they have to hide because they are really doing something wrong and they need to make you look awful. And you wait and see, that doctor is going to be exposed one of these days. Anyway, so if you have somebody that treats you like crap and they're arrogant and nasty, they're hiding something. So anyway, did you see this? I wrote a story. This is the story that I wrote in the Gleaner a couple years ago about God's ways and how I got my little dog Binky little Shih Tzu. Met her at Multnomah Falls. That's on one of my stories here. Anyway, thank you for stopping by my live, and we're talking about, I'm rambling on, saying nothing. And I'm feeling sorry for myself. Oh yeah, I want you to pray about something. I was watching Missing, that Missing channel. What's their name? Oh, I like them. He's a retired cop. They're back east. You like my new hat? The guy that used to help us with our garden. He was our gardener. He was really good. If we can have him back, we'd do anything to have him back. And we really like him. And he goes down to Mexico at Christmas, and he brought me this hat. Isn't this cute? Hi. He's Mexican. He's Beaner. Oh, wait, I'm half Mexican too. So anyway, yeah, my mom's was Mexican. And he brought me back a scarf. Where was I going with that? Anyway, he's a kind person, and I don't even have family that treat me that good. My brother's a real religious, and you look on his Facebook page, and he's got pictures of his reading the Bible. And then I called him and I told him that I was missing family and I hadn't seen anybody for a couple of years. And I says, I'm going in the hospital having another bowel resection. He says, oh, I'll pray for you. But did he come and see me? No, he only lives 5 miles from the hospital. And, here he is, super religious. So I don't know. I think the Lord is going to come soon. But this Lori Vallow case and all these other things that are happening, I forget what their name is, Missing. I'll post a link of their, and big news, my story on the way home, my book is, I just had it recorded, and I told a few of my story, beginning of my story, on my way home. Whoops. Ew. And it's made for television, so I will be sharing it on YouTube as soon as it's done. It's about when I got pregnant. I was drugged and raped by a creep, and I kept my baby. I didn't choose to abort it like everybody wanted to, but anyway. So hopefully I'll have my book out pretty soon. But I will share. If you subscribe to my channel, then I'll share. You can get the notification icon. But weird mom, hit me. I'm a pastor. I'll pray hard for you. Oh, here, yeah, pray for me. I'm really having a hard time with my pain and my failed spinal surgery. I don't dye my hair anymore, and it's all gray, but I got this spray that you just spray this stuff and it covers the gray. I should do a infomercial on that. Anyway, Larry's mom had scleroderma. You know Bob Skagit from Funniest Home Videos, that big tall guy. He's got a potty mouth. I can't believe it. But anyway, his sister died when she was 40, and she had scleroderma. And that's where your skin gets all hard and you don't get any wrinkles, and your feet are cold and you can't swallow. You have to have your throat opened up. But anyway, Larry's mom was a concert pianist. She got a Juilliard School of Music scholarship when she was in high school, but because her fingers bothered her from the scleroderma, she didn't go to Juilliard, but she played the piano like crazy. Oh my. But anyway, my son was gifted too, and he began taking lessons from the San Diego Padres organists and pianists.
And she says, your son's gifted. So she started teaching my son. And then he went on to other pianists, taking piano and organ lesson. He likes to play the organ piano. You should hear him. He played Prelude and Fugue when he was 7 years or 6 years old perfectly. But Larry's mom would always criticize him for not his finger position and timing. So he wouldn't play in front of her, and she wouldn't look at him as a grandson because he wasn't blood. But Larry's brother, Grant, and Linda had a daughter named Wendy, and she's a nurse practitioner in Cedars-Sinai Hospital. Her and her coworker got COVID. Her coworker, and then they brought it home to her nanny. She's wealthy. They live in, where's that? Where all the rich people live there in LA with all those, I forget, those $10, $20 million homes. Anyway, their nanny got it, and her coworker's husband got it, and he was 50 years old, and he died. And now it's spreading out through my husband's side of the family down in LA. Thank God he hasn't been down there to see them lately. And then Wendy is 45, and her mom Linda called Larry, because Larry's brother Grant died of cancer when he was 60. So this is Larry, and Linda left. But she called him, and Wendy is having complications from COVID, and it has triggered her immune system, and she was diagnosed with scleroderma this last week, and she's having trouble swallowing, and she's going to have her throat stretched just like her grandma did. So Larry and I never had children together because when I was raped, I got a horrible HPV virus that caused me infertility, and I believe caused Larry's cancer. And Larry had oral cancer. That's a whole nother sad sack of bones. And anyway, if Larry and I would have had a child together with my EDS and his scleroderma autoimmune disease on his side, our child would have been probably sick or dead by now. But please pray for Wendy. She's suffering, and they're supposed to go on vacation next week. And when they're getting married. She divorced her first husband, and she has little Farah, who's 5 years old. So Farah might get the COVID, but Wendy is struggling from the COVID, and it has triggered her to have scleroderma. So pray for Wendy. No, not Beverly Hills. It's starts with a C. Palace. No. Oh, I'll remember it. And I have brain fog, so I should go play my piano. You like my piano? I can't play worth crap. Anyway, when you hear me playing really well, it's the player system. So God bless you, and please take care, and let's pray for one another. Oh, that missing 411. Let me see if I can find them. They are so. He's a cop, and his wife is. Oh, and there's also missing 411 is Dave Pilates. If you look at those cases of the missing people around the world, there's millions of people, and a lot of people go missing in Yosemite National Park. Oh my gosh. Oh, I can't remember the cop's name. But anyway, him and his wife were having prayer for people the other night, and that was really touching to have them praying for people. And his wife, I forget her name. She's just so tenderhearted and so sweet. Anyway, I'm rambling on. Thank you guys. Oh, hey, the weird mom. Do you play the piano? Do you play the keyboard? I play the pump organ. Look at my pump organ. Did you see my pump organ? So I have the pump organ in my entryway. Our entryway is as big as the living room. It's stupid. This house is weird. Well, like I said, it's all one level, and plus we have a guest house. And I'm thinking of finishing this. I do watercolors. Have you seen some of my watercolors? Oh, my hurt. Oh, something might pop. I'm always afraid something might fall out of I'll expose myself. This is one of my watercolors. Oh, and then, you've seen them. Anyway, it's better to look at what God made out there. Weird mom, I'm going to go visit you. I'll bring me an arrow bed. I'll sleep in a tent. I don't care. I love Hawaii. Anyway, God bless you guys. And give me a thumbs up. Thank you for stopping by. And I hope you subscribe because I need subscribers. God bless you.